All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the second of that 1-2 punch here on Sportswire Radio. And I'm excited because we have another up-and-coming big man here in pro wrestling, and he has certainly been one of the talks of all the things happening here in nonstop action wrestling. He is 1/3 of the society who we saw in action most recently last month at the Summertime Slaughterhouse. And you've seen some big stars here in nonstop action wrestling of late, like Old School MC2 and Gung Ho Muttley last week, and obviously Goliath before that. So I'm excited to get his side of the story because we've seen him in a number of our streams here over the past several weeks, and we'll see if he's made some laws for us. But I can assure you he's going to make some waves here tonight on Sportswire Radio and his debut here on the radio. So without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here, the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. I just thought about when Mr. Kennedy was in WWE and he would go, Mr. Kennedy, and then he would go, Kennedy. So I thought about doing that for the second time, Kennedy. So I hope you remember that. It's been a while, but good to have you, my friend.
Back at you, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on here for Sportswire Radio. It's good to have you. I know we've kind of teased it here quite a bit over the past few weeks, and you've been on a number of our streams, and I'm looking forward to sharing your story for everybody here. And I've got some comments already lined up. I'll get to those, I promise, in a second. But I want to set the tables for those that are watching and listening to this who are obviously fans of nonstop action wrestling, as I'm sure you're aware of by now the news that on August 13th at our next event, Fire and Gold, we're going to have an 8-man tournament, which is going to be randomly selected. I'm sure we're going to speak with Joshua Snow next week about that and get some more details. But I'm going to ask you, because obviously you would be somebody that's a candidate, to get your thoughts on, now that we are going to have an 8-man tournament to decide the first ever nonstop action world champion. What's your thoughts on it, the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy?
Honestly, Mr. Bryce, 8 people, 8 perfect professional wrestlers, 8 up-and-comers, or just 8 members of the roster. It could be NSAW, could be a little bit of mix and match of everything.
We had Bentley on a little while ago, and he could be the BTW champion by tomorrow night, and he wants in still. He's demanding that he would like to be in this tournament, so it could be from anywhere. Listen, it could be Roman Reigns for all we know.
I mean, sure, but if Mr. Reigns would like to come into NSAW, the only acknowledgement is he's going to have to acknowledge me as the first ever NSAW champ.
Okay, well, certainly that's a declaration. That I would assume that means that you would like to be in this tournament then.
Absolutely. It would be incredibly stupid of management to not include the Lawman in this.
Well, you are a lawman, so I mean, obviously
Exactly.
It would make sense, right? You'd have to have a lawman because you make laws, right? So obviously it would certainly make sense to have you in this tournament.
Exactly.
So I almost have to ask you then, speaking about the tournament here, I mean, are you concerned, let's say, if your fellow colleagues in the society were also in the tournament and the possibility if either of or any of you guys would face off with each other to determine this champion? I mean, any thoughts to that?
You see, Mr. Bryce, that's the beautiful thing about the society. We are one. We're not just this little split-off thing. You know, we are one. We are a part of each other. Whether it's Remus going for one championship, whether it's Robert DeCaro going to a different company, whether it's moi, Mr. Justice, the lawman himself, Kyle Kennedy, becoming the first ever NSAW champion. The beautiful thing about the society is that when one person does well, we all do well. And it's not about a factor of, oh, well, what if this could lead to some sort of crumbling? That ain't the fact. If we have to face off, it's inevitable. It will happen. But for the better part of our family, our fellow brethren, those who are named and those who are not named, It's just for the betterment of us, whether or not there's one member of the society in this tournament, whether it's none of us, or whether there's three of us. Either way, we are winning.
Well, there is that possibility. I mean, well, let me ask you this question then, because this is a good segue here. Obviously, speaking about the news that was broke last week in our show with Gung Ho Muttley, that would you want Remus Kane, Robert DeCaro, and yourself all to be in this tournament? I mean, is there a thought to that, or you want just yourself or two of yous? I mean, what's your thoughts to that?
You know, here's hoping, my friend. Here's hoping. As I said, we could round out the numbers, and it's the numbers game. That's wrestling. You know, there's
Right.
three of us. So that's 5 more people for us to decimate, my friend. Ain't nobody gonna mess with us. That's 3 members of the society in this tournament, if possible.
All right. All right. That's fair. And I've got some comments in here, and I'll get to them in a second. But I want to follow up because I have to ask you this question here, and I don't know how much you've thought about it because this only broke last week, and I'm sure next week when we have Joshua Snow on, the man behind Nonstop Action Wrestling, maybe we'll get some more news to come in here in terms of who's going to be in this tournament. But I have to ask you this question, and I know you may not want to give me the right answer because it's hard to give a right answer to something like this, but let's say hypothetically, though, it's you versus Remus Kane, you versus Robert DeCaro. I mean, what's the plan? What's the plan? I mean, does one of you lay down? Do we do Hogan Nash finger poke of doom and we go 1, 2, 3? I mean, so you got to walk me through this, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, because I have to ask that question.
Absolutely not, Tom. For the betterment of the society, this isn't some political thing where one of us demands someone lay down. Like I said, if one of us goes into this tournament, we're all winning. So, whether it comes down to myself or DeCaro, myself or Remus, or we're not even talking about me here, Remus and DeCaro. As long as one of us gets through, as long as one of us gets our hands on that championship, we are winning. There's a possibility that we could face each other. There's a possibility that all 3 of us will be in. There's a possibility that neither of us will be in. But again, as I mentioned, it would be incredibly stupid and ignorant of management not to include us.
Well, we're going to certainly find out here, and let me get to some comments in here. And we've got James Westney says Kyle. Okay, we have Joshua Preston says Kyle with I think he was trying to do my introduction. So, and we've got Supersonic Sammy Blue says, who is going to come on also with us here in the near distant future. And I know it's somebody you know very well. He says, I'm planning to steal Kyle's name out of the hat so he doesn't get a chance. Shush, don't tell him. Well, I hate to break it to you, but we just told him just now. So would you like to respond to that, the Lawman, Kyle?
You're right, you moron. Listen, Supersonic Muppet, Mr. Blue. Let's not forget the last time we encountered my blue little compadre. Summertime Slaughterhouse, my friend. Not just myself. My fellow brethren of the society. We decimated you, Leonie Rose, and your weird little friend, Mikey Future. So, if and when there comes a time when you want to step in the ring with the Lawman, once again, just know the outcome will be the same. I will destroy you. I will either hit you with the Lawbreaker 1, 2, 3, or get you into the prison gates and you will either tap out, or again, like you did this past month, you will pass out, Samuel. Okay? Don't mess with me, boy. Don't toy with me. I know why you're in this chat. You hate to embarrass me in front of my good friend Mr. Bryce here, and I'm not going to have that. You're not going to make me look a fool like I made you look a fool, all right?
The Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, mixing it up here with those in the stream. Sometimes we have people come on, and it's almost like they don't know how to react, but the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, is certainly trying to basically put his foot down here and enforce the law here. But let me get to Nonstop Action Wrestling Management here, because we do want to hear from management because they have something to say about what you had to say, plus some more comments in here. And while the competitors are randomly selected, we're sure Kyle Kennedy, the Lawman, will be quite the selection. Would you like to respond to that there, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm assuming it's Josh, Mr. Snow. So listen here, boss man. Please take this under advisement, my friend.
Mm.
I am one of, and in fact was one of the very first picks when NSAW first opened its doors. I was a front runner, and I was in fact one of the only people, in fact not the only person, to be not just placed into the society, but they came to me and asked I join them, just like NSAW came to me to join NSAW. So what you should do again is come to me and ask me to be in your tournament. If you want the views, you want the matchups, you want the non-stop, never-stop moments, you come to the Lawman. You ask Kyle Kennedy to be a part of that. So I would hope that's the fact, Mr. Snow, or whoever the social media admin is within Nonstop Action Wrestling, you get this message out, and on August the 13th, just know that whether there's 3 members of the society, 1 member of the society, or 2, it don't matter. As long as there's 1, we are 1, and we are winning, and we are on top no matter what. So I would hope and pray for your better judgment, NSAW, that you choose not only the society, but you choose the Lawman. That's no mark and indiscretion to my society brethren. But if you want a damn good show, not only do you put on the society on your card, but you put on the Lawman, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, he has made quite the debut here on Sportswire Radio. The Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. I got to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have so many comments in here. I'm going to try to get to all of them here because that's what happens when you speak nonstop action wrestling. That's why we love nonstop action wrestling here on Sportswire Radio. That's why we want everybody to follow nonstop action wrestling here on Facebook and Instagram and continue to follow all the great things that the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, is doing to you. But I'll get all that in a second. Gung Ho Muttley says, sure, you'll do great in that tournament, Lawman, so long as none of the Academy of Agony gets selected.
I thought you were a little teachy group. I didn't know you were a bunch of comedians, Mr. Motley.
Drum roll, but I'm bump.
Unbelievable. Typical of Mr. Motley to come in here and steal someone else's spotlight,
so it's basically,
isn't it?
So you're saying the Academy of Agony are more like a Motley crew rather than really any type of agony providing them?
More like a Muppet crew, let's say.
Oh, hey, boy, we are in the business of comedy tonight on Sportswire Radio. Certainly, I'm sure Mr. Muttley will have some thoughts about that. And, of course, your compatriot and compadre in the society, Remus Kane, is in the house, and he says, we could say the same likewise, Gung Ho Muttley. So, clearly, the backup is here for you. You brought the ammunition. You brought backup with you.
Absolutely.
And our dear friend Bluegrass's Girl says, "Hey Kyle, loving the T-shirt. Happy Pride Month." So obviously she is tuned in. Also, she is from GT Ministries. I want to give Bluegrass's Girl a follow one more time. You can follow Bluegrass's Girl on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Bluegrass's Girl. Also, GT Ministries UK on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They also have a huge show upcoming this Saturday at the Fountains Church in Bradford. Make sure if you haven't followed GT Ministries UK, definitely do so. And we've also got Joshua Preston, Kyle Kennedy for the championship. Very well could be, but let me get to a comment from the man behind Nonstop Action Wrestling, who is going to be with us early next week on Sportswire Radio. That is, of course, Mr. Joshua Snow here. And here's what he has to say, the boss man. So he says here, I have heard what you've had to say. All options are being taken into account. But do not mistake me for an individual who you can push over. Neither Remus, Robert, yourself, or Richard Knights can intimidate me. The Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, would you like to respond to what Mr. Snow has to say?
Listen, boss man, Mr. Snow, this isn't an intimidation game, my friend. This isn't what the society is about. This isn't what I am about. I'm about action. Non-stop action, you could say.
Mm.
So, if you deem it necessary to politely put that you refuse to be intimidated by my brethren of the society, then that's fine. That's surely not what I'm trying to get at. But if that's some odd, mild-mannered threat of a sense, then trust me, boy, you don't want none of this.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me as if the battle lines are quickly being drawn here on Sportswire Radio. And these are reasons why, again, you should absolutely be following Nonstop Action Wrestling. You can do so on Instagram, NSAW Official, Nonstop Action Wrestling. Also on Facebook, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. I highly recommend you like his page, Kyle Kennedy on Facebook. Also, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy. You can follow him on Instagram. I highly promise if you follow him, you are going to definitely be in for a treat and in for some action, all the things that he is doing. So certainly here, he is a guy you're going to want to follow. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and we are with the lawman Kyle Kennedy speaking about the announcement August the 13th, Fire and Gold, Nonstop Action Wrestling 8-person tournament to crown the company's first ever champion. Let's get to some more comments because I've got a ton of them. I'm way behind right now. So Supersonic Sammy Blue responds once again, hey, if it's a fair match, then I step in the ring with you for sure. But if you need other people to do your work for you, then that shows me exactly who you are, Boreman. Boreman.
That's
People
good.
are tuned in tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're boring people because I see a whole bunch of comments in here.
Ironic, huh? Once again, as I mentioned, I,
You
Kyle Kennedy,
sell
and
tickets
we.
because people are tuned into you. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, it sure as heck isn't a coincidence that every single show that I, Kyle Kennedy, and the society have been on, A, have all been sold out, and B, have absolute bangers of matches. And Mr. Blue, to your little input there, Barman, is that why you fell asleep then? Because did you fall asleep or did you pass out when I locked you in the prison gates, my friend? Listen, Samuel, again, I've already noted how incredibly stupid you seem to be. So, listen, as I've put out previously, I will take on anyone. Okay? I'll take you on again. And I know that Goliath put out a cute little challenge a few weeks ago to anyone. I'll take him on. I'll take you on, Bryce, if you like. I'm not afraid. Okay? I refuse to have some weird little blue-haired cretin come in, try and embarrass me with ridiculous comments like that. Okay,
well, we'll certainly we'll see what happens here with the lawman Kyle Kennedy. Obviously, stay focused on the prize there. You got a championship you possibly could be in the running for August the 13th. But let me get to a comment here that maybe breaks up the monotony here. And Joe Wynn, who's been on a number of our streams here, and he's a fan from different parts of the world here in America, obviously, says, the only thing I feel like anyone asks him is where is the good restaurant at? You know what? I can't believe I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it in a different way. So I'm going to do it in a way that maybe people can chuckle at this. But I've never asked this question for anybody in the UK. So I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to be the first one to ask you, and I'm going to actually take Joe Wynn's advice. I don't know why I'm going to do that, but I'm going to hope you stay with me. But where is a restaurant that you like to frequent or a favorite one you like to eat at where you live in England? I actually should ask you that. Maybe, just to break it up for a second.
I mean, I'm not privy to a nice bit of Indian cuisine.
Okay.
There's a lovely local restaurant called the Saiba. It's gorgeous, just the best, beautiful, just most succulent.
And where is this, by the way?
Chicken.
Is this in Yorkshire?
It is indeed in Yorkshire, yes.
Okay. So that
It's
is one of
gorgeous.
that's a place that you frequent then. That would be a
Mm.
place you recommend. So anybody like
Yeah,
myself or anybody watching this from the other side of the pond, you would recommend this place to visit.
absolutely. And I'm not privy to a Five Guys or a KFC or a Nando's either. So
Well, all right, KFC, I got to be honest, maybe once or twice a year, but my problem is I will be on the toilet all day if I have KFC. So I try to avoid KFC. Five Guys is not bad. Five Guys is not bad, but I try to stay away from the fast food like that. But thank you, Joe, for the question. I asked it because, well, I actually thought it was an okay question. But let me get to some other comments because I have a bunch of them here, and I want to try to get everybody in. James Westney says, "Hey, Kyle, what's it like being the best member of the society?" You want to take that?
I mean, I personally wouldn't say there is a best member of the society.
Trick question. That was a trick question for you, you're saying then.
I'd say that the best of the society is the society. We are the best. Enough said.
Okay, fair enough. So certainly there is no I in team when it comes to the society. And
Absolutely not.
Jenny Hayes is definitely on Team Kennedy's side. So you got Jenny Hayes in the house for you. So
Thank you, Jenny.
And she also says smooth. So certainly that's her follow-up with that. Then we've got the aforementioned Richard Knights. Absolutely love the work you're doing. The lawman, Kyle Kennedy. You want to respond to Richard Knights?
Richard, my friend, I appreciate the opportunity that you've gifted upon me, along with Remus and DeCaro, of my chances of not only being with Non-Stop Action Wrestling, but being with the society. I truly hope I've made you proud so far, and I truly hope and believe to do as such going forward. So, Richard, thank you.
And I want to thank Mr. Knights because he actually just shared our video on Facebook. So certainly Mr. Knights is definitely doing a good job by us here on Sportswire Radio. So I have to thank Mr. Knights for sure for doing that. And also Mr. Knights follows up here and says that, in fact, I've got so many comments, I can't even follow up. So there we go. He says here, Kennedy absolutely deserves a shot at this title. So there you go.
I mean, that puts it in stone, or should I say, puts it in gold, right there.
Okay, so certainly that was a very clever line here. And Supersonic Sammy Blue says by cheating. So he's going to go back and forth with that. But let me get to Joshua Snow because this is important. So Mr. Snow says, Richard Knights, you are hardly partial there, Richard Knights. The only one who deserves the title is the one who wins the title at Fire and Gold. You'd like to respond?
The only one that deserves the title is the one that wins it. Well, Mr. Snow, thank you for bestowing upon me such a high honor. And once I win at Fire and Gold on August 13th, I not only expect a massive parade, but I expect you to come down to the ring and shake my hand in front of all the little cretins in the audience who decide to boo me for some weird reason. Shake my hand and say, well done, Kyle. You've earned this and you deserve this.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to certainly be a distinct possibility. Undoubtedly, August the 13th at Fire and Gold here for Non-Stop Action Wrestling as they crown their first world champion. And Connor Calder also says, anyone you're particularly looking forward to facing? That's a good question. That's something we spoke about before we went on the air here and doing the interview. So would you like to answer that here, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy?
Absolutely. There's plenty. It's not only in NSAW, but within the industry. And
Sure.
not necessarily, the UK scene is booming right now. In wrestling, we have these
Absolutely.
big boom periods, as to call them.
Yes.
I think right now, in the UK, we have not only some of the best, but the best talent right now in the wrestling scene.
Undoubtedly.
So, multiple opponents I'd love to face and beat. Multiple companies I'd love to take on and appear within. There's so many opportunities and so many people out there to choose from. It's a hard one. It really is. Tommy Dillon I'd love to take him
I'm
on.
glad you brought up Tommy Dillon, because Tommy Dillon is somebody that's coming on to Sportswire Radio real soon.
Oh,
Tommy
wow, that's
Dillon's
going to be
coming on.
exciting.
Yep. Tommy Dillon's coming on. He's coming on here. He's going to be in the house here, and he's going to have a lot to say. I was speaking with Tommy Dillon actually a couple of days ago, and I'm excited to have him on here. Happy to break that here on Sportswire Radio. In fact, that's going to be next Tuesday. And in fact, it's going to be, I'm going to make the announcement. I'm going to have my own pipe bomb, because everybody's making announcements on Sportswire Radio. So I'm going to make the announcement here. It's a pipe bomb from the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio. You're hearing it first. 7 p.m., Tommy Dillon, British Standard Time. And then right afterwards, the aforementioned Joshua Snow, the man behind Nonstop Action Wrestling, is going to be in the house right afterwards. So you are going to get your 1-2 punch of Nonstop Action Wrestling here live on Sportswire Radio. So, Mr. Kennedy, is there anything you'd like to say to Tommy Dillon? Anything in particular you continue? Because I know Mr. So is going to be a topic throughout the next hour or so, but anything you'd like to say to those gentlemen?
You know, Tommy Dillon is a mentor in my training. So it'd be a high honor to take him on. Mr. Snow, as I've previously mentioned, I hope you made the right decision with yourself and other management in deciding who should be the 8 people within the tournament. Tommy Dillon, the wild card, really setting the scene and setting ablaze his own path to glory recently. And I wish you the best, my friend. And I truly hope that we come to crosses very soon along that same path. And if and when we do, and this is quite odd for me to say, but it will be nothing but out of respect. That would be an honor to beat you.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, the wild card Tommy Dillon, that's going to be quite the match. That would be a lot of tickets, a lot of fannies put in the seats for a match like that here. And Jenny Hayes says that Kyle Kennedy is laying down the gauntlets. Supersonic Sammy Blue says, don't hurt Bryce. I don't know about that. We'll certainly see. Joe Wynn says, okay, I challenge you to a good old-fashioned duel. I guess, would that be a food duel or is that a match? You want to clarify that, Joe Wynn? I mean, he's a big man here.
Either way, Mr. Joe, you don't want none of this. So
yeah, Joe's mixed it up with a few of the wrestlers that we've had on here live on Sportswire Radio over the past few months. So Joe's a frequent participant.
That's nice. That's nice, but I'm a different breed. Okay?
Right.
So
all right. Well,
please,
certainly,
for the
we'll
love of the
find out.
Lord above.
Joe, I would tell you, definitely like his page on Facebook, certainly at Kyle Kennedy, and find out why he might be that new breed. And also, Jenny Hayes says a cheeky Nando's. Okay, I guess. I mean, I guess I don't know what else. What should I say to that? Anything else I should say to that, or just move on?
I mean, have you ever had is there a Nando's in America? Is that a thing?
I don't know what it is.
No?
I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. What is it? What is
you'll have to come over to the UK and try it.
What is a Nando's?
It focuses on quite European cuisine in the I believe it's Portuguese cuisine. And,
well, I apologize. I don't know. I apologize.
I'm not. I just got. I'm a big boy, so I just go in for the food and leave.
Okay. That's fair
so
enough.
I'm not all that knowing on it either, to be honest.
Oh, okay. All right. So you know what? I'm going to take your advice on this one. And Supersonic Sammy Blue says, I hope it's too spicy for you, Kyle. I don't know. But let me get to Remus Kane here. And he says, one thing, do not threaten the Academy of Agony again, meaning the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. They are not our enemy. But a question, which promotion would you look at breaking into next? So where would you like to go?
There's so many out there. It'd be an honor to step in the ring anywhere that will have me. Of course, GTM is hopefully on the cards.
Can I make
Progress Wrestling.
Can I make a few suggestions?
Please go ahead.
I think, why not the LWF? Why not KOW, Knockout Wrestling over in Barrow? Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I don't know. We do a lot of work with Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I mean, in Morecambe. I mean, I think UKW would be a good one. Bolton Town Wrestling. Bolton Town Wrestling tomorrow night. They have a card, Heaven and Hell. So, for me, just putting on, leave aside whatever people think about the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. If you want to give the people what they want and give wrestlers more opportunities to hone their craft and wrestle people that we speak about here on Sportswire Radio, I'd love to see in some of those companies like the LWF,
Absolutely.
KOW.
I appreciate that, Mr. Bryce. Anywhere that will have me. It'd be an honor.
I
just want to, end of the day, I just want to get in that ring, wrestle, and hurt people. No sense.
And Beth Ann Jones says, is it Beth Ann Jones or is Bethan Jones? I apologize for any mispronunciations. Says, who would be an ideal person you'd love to face in the future? Wouldn't mind a match against you down the line.
Oh, Beth. Listen. No offense. You're a woman? And I'm a big beast. I don't think you could handle it.
Tommy Dillon was in GTM wrestling in an intergender match last month at Judgment Day. I mean, I wouldn't point that out.
Well, yeah. But who I'd love to face down the line again, the wild card would be an honor. There's plenty of men and women within NSAW that I'd love to face. Connor Cage would be an absolute blast. I'd love to get in there and tangle with the big boy that is Goliath.
You stole my thunder. You stole my thunder on that.
We'd break the ring for sure, but
Well, Bentley in GTM 2 months ago, he almost broke the ring. So between you and Goliath, it would be almost like Shaquille O'Neal, who was a basketball player, and he in his first year in the league, he dunked the basketball so hard that he actually shattered the rim. Between you and Goliath, you and him would probably break the ring for sure. It would be like Brock Lesnar in the Big Show years ago on SmackDown.
Oh, absolutely.
Undoubtedly.
Of course.
Undoubtedly. So that would be a good one here. And Joshua Snow says, put your money where your mouth is, Kyle, if you get selected. So next week, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do you a favor, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. I'm going to ask him next week. I'll ask him next Tuesday. I will ask Joshua Snow about you in the tournament.
You do, Mr. Bryce.
I'll do.
Please do. Put my name in good graces.
I'll put my investigative journalism hat on. I'll be fair, and I'll put it out there. And Jenny Hayes says, I think Kyle Kennedy has definitely worked up to the challenge. He is the dark horse of the society. So that's...
I'd second that. I'd say a lot of people don't particularly... because I don't particularly give off that much. So I'd like to think people don't quite know what I'm thinking or I could get up to. For a big guy, it's a lot I can do. So don't,
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, for whatever reason, I think about the Nickelback song, The Dark Horse. Not that I'm a Nickelback fan, but I think Dark Horse, I automatically think Nickelback. So maybe Kyle Kennedy will be the Nickelback of nonstop action wrestling because you know what? Nickelback was pretty successful for a long time. So maybe if you have half the success Nickelback had, maybe you will be the world champion come August the 13th or whenever that time may come. So,
there ain't no maybe about it, my friend.
We'll see. And certainly says somebody here who might know the wild card Tommy Dillon. Somebody who might have an inkling says wild card Tommy Dillon versus the Lawman Kyle Kennedy inside a steel cage. Now, I'll ask the wild card Tommy Dillon that question Tuesday night. If you want, I'll ask him that. But would you like that? Would you like that scenario?
Please do, and warn him of the pain and torment he will be in.
Okay. All right, so I'll tell you what. You're going to hear about it on Sportswire Radio. Tuesday night here live, I will ask the wild card Tommy Dillon about what he thinks about the Lawman Kyle Kennedy himself inside a steel cage. And Bluegrass's Girl reminds me that a Nando's is like a Chick-fil-A. I've only had Chick-fil-A, believe it or not. I've only had the French fries, and I had it twice. And the reason I only had it twice because I went to the movies, and inside the Staten Island Mall, I went to the movies before COVID. There was a Chick-fil-A, and I had fries, and the fries were good. But Richard Knight says it's an expensive KFC. Okay, yeah, but KFC, I already said. To me, it's like I don't agree with KFC. Goliath and Kyle Kennedy. Joshua Snow likes that idea. You like that idea, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy?
I mean, hey, who knows? August 13th, if you have space on the card and if you don't see fit to put me in your precious little tournament, maybe that night the Lawman and Goliath can mix it up. And don't worry, I will personally pay whoever it is and reinforce the ring.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've heard it here first on Sportswire Radio. Goliath and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy will find a way to reinforce the ring to make that happen. But he very well could be in the World Championship tournament. Very well could be the world champion. He is 1/3 of the society. Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram. Also like his page on Facebook at Kyle Kennedy. And Scott Slim says, hey, Kyle, I'm a huge fan rooting for you to become NSAW's first world champion. What inspired you to start wrestling, if you don't mind me asking? That's a great question. I always ask people that question because I speak with people all over the world, right? And I always like to ask that question. So what inspired you to start wrestling, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy?
What inspired me was, it's going to sound really silly and mushy, but ever since I was a mini Kennedy, the first ever thing I remember watching was in the living room when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember a segment with D-Generation X, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and they were in the ring with Sergeant Slaughter, and they had these like visors on, and they had like these weird little.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Honestly, one of the first ever segment I remember, and and then the first ever wrestling show that I remember was WrestleMania 20. And that was an incredible show.
Yep. It was in New York City, Madison Square Garden.
Yes, sir. It's the first ever wrestling event I remember watching. And, I just remember the incredible talents and just thinking, as a feeble-minded little kid seeing all these crazy people jumping about and, these big buggers just putting on a show and entertaining people and looking badass doing it. I kind of envisioned myself being able to do that one day, and a few hiccups along the way. But May 22nd, 2021, the dream began. And a year and I want to say 2 or 3 weeks later, here it is. I'm live on Sportzwire Radio with
I'll tell you what, the dream, we're all living the dream, right? I mean, I always tell people, and I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and I said, they said, oh, well, how'd you get into it? And I said, well, I've been doing this 3.5 years, and I had no background, and all of a sudden, I had a friend of mine at the time who I grew up with, he was a high school American football player, and it was like, well, we talk about sports. We should just do a podcast, and that's how it starts. You saw WrestleMania 20. You watched the Generation X and the Attitude Era, and it's literally a little over a year later, you started your career, and I've started my journey. We're worldwide. You're worldwide. And certainly, Richard Knight agrees. Kennedy versus Goliath. Let's do it. I think that would be a very great match. That would be a match that a lot of people would want to see undoubtedly in the wrestling business. And Supersonic Blue says, I hope that Goliath teaches you a lesson in respect. Kyle, I'd definitely be rooting for him. Okay? And Jenny Hayes says, it would be like King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, that would be like King Kong and Godzilla. That would be definitely something that you'd see in a movie almost. And I hope it would be better than the Godzilla movie that I saw in 1998. There was the Matthew Broderick one. I saw it I was a kid. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I remember seeing Godzilla Memorial Day with my parents, and it was like the most. It was a terrible remake. So I hope this King Kong and the King Kong remake, which I also saw, was also lousy. So let's hope that King Kong versus Godzilla in nonstop action wrestling is a lot better than those remakes. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, no doubt about it, my friend.
And Phil Russell says, this is a fun one. Reverend, what do you put on your fries? I'm going to answer this for you in two forms. So, generally, I like ketchup on my fries, but if the fries kind of taste almost like they have salt on it, I don't occasionally mind salt, depending on the French fries. So, it's either ketchup or salt. I almost should ask, what do you guys put on your fries in England? I don't know why I'm asking it, but I'll ask you. What do you guys put on your fries in England?
I'm the same, really.
All right.
You know,
I thought this was a
it's
trick question. People are going to say, well, because some people say they put mustard on their fries for whatever reason. I thought, okay, which I think is completely gross, which, you know. And
diabolical.
Phil Russell says mayo. See, I told you it was a trick. Mayo.
I mean, I'm not a fan of mayonnaise, but I do like garlic mayonnaise. So I like garlic mayo.
Jenny Hayes says salt and vinegar. Yeah, I could see salt. I could definitely see salt. I don't feel like I do vinegar, but I definitely could see salt. And Phil Russell says brown sauce. I'll tell you what, occasionally I've put on fries. This is so random, very rarely, but it's like light barbecue sauce. Very rarely, because very rarely. Other than that, I don't go with anything else. And Supersonic Sammy Blue says, I love cheesy fries. I feel like if you go to the movies, they like, I don't know if you guys like in your movie theaters, they have like those specials with cheesy fries, but I don't do the cheesy fries. But let me get to Remus Kane, because Remus Kane's your compadre in the society. He says, as much as I know the lawman Kyle Kennedy would destroy Goliath easily, we have bigger designs in the work. That's a good question. Now, in a sense, you don't want to be distracted by Goliath. You want to be focused on winning this world championship. Is that a fair point?
I mean, absolutely it is, Master Kane. But as you know, my efforts and my desires aren't just on society business. I told you this when you came to me and asked me to be a part of the society. I didn't join the society to be a rebel against the cause and some part of this thing for you and the society. You know, it's a great, great mindset. Don't get me wrong, and I love every moment of being with my brethren. But at the end of the day, the society is not the be all and end all. The be all and end all for me is getting in that ring and hurting people, whether it's with my society brothers or whether it's just myself. You know, I understand you have your ideologies, Mr. Kane, and I appreciate and respect everything you've given to me and put me in my path. But just know, as I've mentioned, the society business, yeah, that's great, but I've got my own ideologies too, and you know that. Just like you wish to be in this tournament and want to be the NSAW World Class Champion, as do I. And I want to be a champion everywhere I go, and I'm sure that's your case too, such as DeCaro's also. So, just understand and know that I'm a wrestler above anything else. I'm not a puppet, and you know that. But trust me, I respect and appreciate your ideologies, and I will absolutely go into battle and go into war with you, and you know that. But I gotta do my own thing sometimes.
All right, we'll certainly see. And I almost have to ask you as a follow-up, what does the society mean to the lawman Kyle Kennedy?
It's a family. They gave me everything that I've had so far. You know, they got me to the dance. They got me here. They got me to the point where I'm sitting here with you right now, Mr. Bryce. The society is a great help, as I mentioned. The society is a family, and we are one, as I've mentioned. And there's so many things I could say, but unfortunately, so little time. But the one constant that I have with the society is meaning. The society gives me meaning to get into that ring with or without my brethren. Remus Kane and Robert Caro have helped me in more ways than they could ever have imagined. And at the end of the day, like I said, there's nothing I couldn't and nothing I wouldn't do for them. The ideology within the society is that we do what we can and do what we want to whomever we please. It's nothing personal. It's just business. And that's why people don't like us. They think it's some odd personal agenda. Why we go out and hurt people, why we go out and say things. Well, what do people hate the most? They hate the truth. And when we speak our truth and when we do our truth, people don't like us for that. So it's as simple as that.
And Remus Kane follows up that comment from the lawman Kyle Kennedy about what the society means to him. We are more than a family, the lawman Kyle Kennedy. We are the truth of this world. You are a part of that truth now.
Exactly.
Okay, that's certainly fair enough. And of course, if you want to follow Nonstop Action Wrestling, you can continue to do so on Instagram at NSAW Wrestling. Also, you can do it on Facebook as well. You can also follow Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy. That is his Instagram handle. Like his Facebook page. You can definitely make sure you do all those great things, because I can assure you, you're going to want to follow the gang. Remus Kane, you're going to definitely want to make sure you follow his page and everything he's up to. And, of course, Robert DeCaro and all the things related here to the world of pro wrestling. And, in fact, we're going to make sure everybody follows Remus Kane here at the real Remus Kane .society. The real Remus Kane .society. So make sure you follow him, and I can promise you, you will be a part of that truth here on Sportswire Radio. So I have another comment in here from Supersonic Sammy Blue, and he says, you attack people from behind, you play with people's emotions, and do that to take advantage of them, Kyle. I'm still not over what Richard did at Summertime Slaughterhouse.
Boo-hoo. Like I said, the truth hurts. And like I've previously mentioned, it's nothing personal. It's just business. We have to get our message out there. And unfortunately for you, Mr. Blue, you were just a pawn in that game. As was Leonie Rose, as was Mikey Future. And if you don't like it, then you can do something about it. But I very much doubt you will.
Okay, so certainly it's just something tells me here that Supersonic Sammy Blue and the lawman Kyle Kennedy, we haven't heard the last of them going back and forth. And something tells me here, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, we're going to have Supersonic Sammy Blue in the near and distant future here on Sportswire Radio. Something tells me here he's going to want to get his side of the story on things. That's just something tells me here that's going to happen.
And I'm sure it'll make you feel sorry for him and boo-hoo and oh, poor Sammy, like everyone else, because no one trusts and believes in our truth, and that's okay. That's your prerogative. Just, yeah.
Jenny Hayes says Sammy Blue doesn't need to cut corners outside of the ring with cheap attack tricks.
I mean, you switched teams quite quickly, Miss Hayes. A second ago, you were, yay, Team Kennedy. Now you're just, oh, you're a cheater, you're a liar.
No, she's saying Sammy Blue. She's saying Sammy Blue doesn't need to cut corners outside of the ring with cheap attack tricks. She's defending you, if you're reading the comment correctly.
Sure, I guess it doesn't sound like that to me, but sure.
All right, well, I guess whatever it might be, I guess we'll move on from that comment, but I actually wanted to ask you something that I've always been curious since the last couple of weeks we've been speaking about you. I mean, so being the lawman Kyle Kennedy, do you make laws in England? You're the lawman, so do you have the power and authority to make laws? I mean, you are the lawman, so I had to ask you sort of a question maybe to break the ice a little bit. I mean, do you actually make laws?
So let me just get across to you this whole lawman thing. I proclaim myself to be Mr. Justice, the lawman, simply for my own personal gain. I will do everything and anything in my power for my own truth, my own justice, to get to the top. As should anyone in wrestling. But for some weird reason, you've got these weird little goody two-shoes people who are here to put smiles on faces and entertain people and hug kids and high-five the parents and yay. Nah, I ain't about that. I want to get in the ring and I want to hurt people and I want to win. And I will do that and exact my own justice in any which way I see possible to make sure I'm on top and stay there.
I would not want to get in the way from the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, and what he wants to do, because something tells me here, ladies and gentlemen, on Sportswire Radio, that he's going to find a way to figure it out. He's going to find a way to do what means he can into where his ultimate goals are. And I kind of wanted to ask you and piggyback off that. I know we've spoken about wrestling and how you got into the business and some other people you like to work with and other companies, but what are your goals coming up here, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, in professional wrestling, and more or less for this year and the rest of 2022?
My goals? Wrestle. Get in the ring. Win. Whether that's your particular matches, whether that's championship matches. I will end 2022 with a championship. I will continue to shake the foundations of NSAW. I will continue to hurt people and serve my own brand of justice, whichever way I see fit. My goals here in wrestling, here in NSAW, change. They vary, just as everything does in wrestling. Step 1, world-class tournament. Step 2, win it. Step 3, challenger after challenger after challenger. 1 goes down, 2 goes down, 3 goes down. We're already in June. This year's going fast, and by the end of you'll know it, it'll be December, and we'll be going into the new year. And the Lawman, along with the society, we will end this year on top, just like we have ended the previous. And we will continue to destroy and decimate.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, the goals have been made clear here tonight from the lawman Kyle Kennedy, that he's on a mission, he's on a path that I would want to stay clear of. I would want to keep my distance from, because something tells me here he's got a lot on his mind. He's got an eye on the prize when it comes to the first ever nonstop action world championship, the society and their goals of dominating professional wrestling, not just nonstop action wrestling. And we've got a comment in here from Supersonic Sammy Blue. I'd love to get my side across. Unlike the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, and his fellow society, me and my fellow Guardians have honor. We're also best friends. So the society and versus the Guardians, something tells me here, it ain't quite Russia and Ukraine, but you guys are certainly, it's going to be going on here for quite a while between you and them. The battle lines are going to continue to be drawn, and there's going to be no resolution at the moment.
I mean, it's quite frankly embarrassing that you keep coming back, Samuel. I put you down in the middle of the ring, and now I keep verbally putting you down in these comments. What is wrong with you?
And Remus Kane says, honor is a fool's tool. Do yourself and us proud, Kennedy. I look forward to seeing more of your contributions to us and to the world of wrestling. You know, I'm going to throw something out here, and I obviously didn't anticipate to throw this out there, but I'm going to throw this out there for you, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, obviously for your brother in the society, and even for Supersonic Sammy Blue, because we're always in the business of selling tickets. We're in the business of promoting. We're in the business of obviously getting more eyes glued to nonstop action wrestling. And I know management is going to be listening to this and watching this for sure. And we are on Roku also. I want to remind everybody, we are on the Roku channel, Northeast Streaming Sports, right now live. So let me ask this question for everybody, because I know Supersonic Sammy Blue is definitely watching this right now. And I'm going to throw it out there. And I really shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it. Should we see the possibility of a face-off here on Sportswire Radio between, I don't know, the society and the Guardians? You guys talk it out, because I could go back and forth and have Sammy Blue on the stream. I can have you here on the stream, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. I like hearing everybody's side of the story, but Would it create more interest? Would it create more, I don't know, hype to nonstop action wrestling? Would the society want it? Would the Guardians want it? I mean, anybody out there have a thought on that?
I personally would love nothing more than continuing to verbally embarrass and soon to be once again physically embarrass those Muppets of the Guardians. So please, in the near and distant future, invite them on. Invite us back
So
on.
you would be okay. We did this and
Absolutely,
Supersonic
Mr. Bryce.
and the rest of the Guardians. You'd be okay with that.
Absolutely, my friend.
And do you think that Mr. Kane would be okay with that? If Mr. Kane's listening here.
I mean, you'd have to ask him, but I would certainly hope so.
Okay, that I would certainly hope that. Would hope so, right? Because it would be good, right? What's best for business. So, I mean, I'll throw it out there. I mean, so we're gonna throw it out here. If somebody wants to do that, if management at Nonstop Action Wrestling would be okay with it, if they would want to say, you know what, let's go hand in hand with Sportswire Radio on it, because something tells me here the tension isn't ending here anytime soon between the Guardians and the Society, and we have some responses here. Supersonic Sammy Blue and Remus Kane have responded. So Supersonic Sammy Blue says, I know for sure that my fellow Guardians would love to. If you're brave enough, Remus, DeCaro, and Kyle, you're on. And then Remus Kane says, if you want to see what a social media dismemberment through words would look like, then absolutely. So challenge accepted then from everybody?
Certainly seems that way, Mr. Bryce.
I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we may have to book something here maybe next week on Sportswire Radio. Maybe next week. Maybe, just maybe, next week. We're going to have to figure it out between the camps to get everybody in the same room. Because something tells me, listen, we spoke about Goliath and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy breaking the ring. If the Society and the Guardians are in the same stream live on air on the radio, could that very well break the radio dial on Sportswire Radio? It could be. But I tell you what, we want to find out. Stay tuned, as they always would say here. So I think that would be certainly best for business. And Mr. Snow says we will have to okay this first within Nonstop Action Wrestling, but it may be a possibility. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy, I mean, do you think that Nonstop Action Wrestling might want this possibility, this opportunity? Do you think it'd be a good idea? What do you think?
I mean, absolutely. You know, if Sammy and his little friends of the Guardians want to keep making a fool of themselves, and as Remus said, we can show them how much of a verbal battering we can give them on social media. So if Mr. Snow, you would like to okay that with Mr. Bryce, then please feel free to have your little communication between the two. Invite myself and my Society brethren back on. Invite that blue-haired weirdo and his friends on here to Sportswire Radio, and we can verbally duke it out. And again, it's going to end the same way as it did at the Summertime Slaughterhouse. Not good for them.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, if you aren't following Nonstop Action Wrestling, I highly encourage you do so. You do it at NSAW Official, Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook. And we are here with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy. We've got another 15 minutes or so here on Sportswire Radio here, and it has been a tremendous honor to continue to speak all things related here to Nonstop Action Wrestling. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is definitely a name you're going to want to keep an eye on. If you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, do give us a follow anytime on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our content on sportnarium.com/player. If you like what you hear from me, you can give me a follow anytime on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. Also, Thomas Bryce 2017 on Twitter, Facebook, Sports Report X. Tom Bryce, you can give me a friend request on Facebook as well. And we've got another 15 minutes or so here with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. And certainly it was an impactful debut for him on Sportswire Radio. And as they would say here in the John Wick movies, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing the Lawman Kyle Kennedy real soon. So something tells me that in the near and distant future. But I want to ask you, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, and I want to formally ask you this question. We'll ask Mr. Snow this next week about the tournament, who's in it. But let's say, for argument's sake, that you were in the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tournament to crown the company's first ever champion. So I'd like to ask you this question then. What would it mean to you if you were the first ever Nonstop Action Wrestling World Champion?
Vindication. As someone outside of this vessel that was told, you can't, you won, that would be vindication for me. You know, as I've said, wrestling is pretty much all I have. That's what I love to do. I love to get in that ring, wrestle, beat people up, and hurt them. It's fun. I enjoy it. Weirdly enough, I enjoy getting hurt too. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an odd little kink of mine, but who knows? But what would it mean to be the first ever NSAW World Champion? Vindication, as I've said, but it would truly be something to just cap off a dream and to show people that, you know, you were told you can and you won. And I will, and I did. So if I'm chosen, it'd be an honor to be in the tournament. Unlucky for the poor saps, whoever have been chosen to go up against me. And I will get to the final, because look at me. Ain't nobody beating this. I'm currently undefeated in NSAW. 4-0, baby. 4-0. So
I'll tell you, 4-0.
You know, it's not looking too good for people right now. So whoever comes up across that ring from me in the future, whether it be next week, next month, August 13th, or whether I'm not chosen for the tournament, which would be an incredibly stupid idea.
Well, you're 4-0, so it's, to me, sounds like you would be a contender, 4-0, right? So
well, there you go, Mr. Bryce.
You could very well be the next Goldberg, for all we know. You could be the next Ryback. So, I mean, 4-0 sounds to me like you would be somebody in this tournament. I'll definitely ask Mr. Snow about it next Tuesday night, right after the wild card Tommy Dillon in here. And Jenny Hayes says here, NSAW has got a bright future. I can't wait to see it shine with his talented roster. Obviously, Jenny Hayes in her own right is up and coming, and we'll certainly see her future definitely being bright. And certainly we have a comment in here. Again, somebody that very well might know the wild card Tommy Dillon, but he says there can only be one first ever. Everyone thinks that's a great point. Regardless, there's only one ever. First ever, right? It's only one person.
That's very true.
Can ever say that? Could it be the Lawman Kyle Kennedy? I don't know. There could be.
Who knows?
I do admit you and your brethren got ahead of us last time. You're smart individuals, an even deadlier group, but do not underestimate mine and my fellow Guardians' strive, ability, and overall positive outlooks toward life, because we are one of the top teams here in Nonstop Action Wrestling. James Westney says, I'd love to make it 4-1.
Another comedian. Do you find these people, or do they just jump on the stream? Or
people come on and comment? That's how it works. We don't solicit people here on Sportswire Radio.
Unbelievable.
We don't
listen, Mr. Westney. Come and get him. Come and get me. Step in that ring, and I will hurt you, my friend. Hurt you.
I'll tell you what, we very well could find out. Who knows? I mean, certainly there is a lot that we're going to find out here. A lot of questions are going to be continued to be asked and answered here on Sportswire Radio over the next several weeks with Nonstop Action Wrestling. But before we get closing thoughts here and such, I wanted to ask you on a personal level, and it can be a professional level, but what does Nonstop Action Wrestling mean to you as a whole?
Opportunity springs to mind. You know, as I've said, a year ago on May the 22nd, my wrestling journey began. Here I am, 1 year, and give or take 2 or 3 weeks later. 4-0 record, 3 sold out, soon to be 4. How fitting, 4-0, and 4 shows sold out. Hint, hint. Clearly, I'm the draw. You know, I love wrestling, as I've mentioned, and I love hurting people. I've mentioned that perhaps.
Yes, I've got the idea. You like to hurt people. I've
A
got
little
that
bit
idea.
too much, maybe, and I apologize for that.
No. Listen, that's what we're here for on Sportswire Radio. That's what we're here for.
What does NSAW mean to me? It gives me a platform to do what I love to do, wrestle. NSAW, in and out of the ring as a family, a very inclusive one at that. So it's given me great, vast, huge opportunities, and I'm forever grateful for that. But don't mistake my kindness and the niceties that are coming out of my mouth right now. Don't mistake that. Because in these baby blues, there's a big, deep fire in me. And I would do everything and anything to get on top and stay there. So, at the end of the day, what NSAW means to me is just, I don't know, there's a lot of mixed emotions that come with it. But certainly the word opportunity and the word passion comes up a lot when I think about NSAW.
Well, there was a Scorpion song called Passion Rules the Game, and certainly here for the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy, passion rules his fuel to be at the top of nonstop action wrestling. And Connor Calder asked, you've mentioned Unseen Society members, so is there more of you out there?
You know, that's not for me to say. You know, the society, there's plenty to come, you know, but that's not for me to say. That's for the master to say. That's for Richard to say and divulge that information of whom they may be and who may be joining us and who may shock and surprise you some time down the line, you know, male, female, otherwise. It doesn't necessarily mean it's just NSAW based. I mean, we've already taken over a few companies, you know. Remus was previously this past weekend at Blackout Wrestling.
Oh, we talked a lot about Blackout Wrestling with Gung Ho Muttley. Yep.
Exactly. You know, we've stamped our authority in UKW. Our current home is NSAW. We've really stamped the mark of the society name throughout the UK scene, and that's never going to stop. So, but for me, it's not for me to say who and when, but just know when. You'll never see it coming. But your mouths dropped.
I'll tell you what, shock, awe, and disbelief could be to those in nonstop action wrestling that stand in the way of the society. And Remus Kane says, of course, there are. We could fill a crowd with our members, and it would only be a fraction. Supersonic Sammy Blue says, as much as I have negative feelings toward you, Kyle, I do admit that you are very much dedicated to nonstop action wrestling. And Harvey Hewitt Greenwood says, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, or whoop, whoop. I don't know what the... I don't know. Maybe it's that time of night. It's 10:23 in England right now, so maybe it's that time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whoop whoop.
Clearly on the drum.
I don't know. How do I follow up with that? Am I supposed to say, but I'm bump, or am I supposed to? I don't know what to say, but I'll say whoop whoop. I mean, yeah, okay, whoop whoop. Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else I could say, but obviously we're coming close to an end here because obviously you're a busy man. You've got matches to prepare for. And now Harvey Hewitt Greenwood responds, says, you're doing great, brother. So I guess maybe that's what he meant to say. Maybe that's what he maybe meant to say, I guess. That would maybe be the better.
Translation of whoop, whoop? I don't know.
Yeah, so Harry Hewitt Greenwood says, you're doing great. Okay, well, yeah, he's doing great. He's with us, and he seems like...
That.
What's that?
I appreciate that very much.
Oh,
As
okay.
much as
Well,
many people don't seem to like me, there's plenty of people out there that seem to respect me. So that's what I'm getting at. No one can deny my passion and my drive.
hey, listen, we've seen it here tonight. I'll tell you something. You definitely have a lot of passion here for nonstop action wrestling. You have a passion for your craft. You have a passion for the society. You very well could be a candidate here to win this first ever nonstop action wrestling world championship at the next Fire and Gold event, August the 13th, which is not that far away. We're only about 60 some odd days away from it. So time flies here, and a little over 9 weeks. And Bethan Jones says, highly respected you, Kyle Kennedy. So getting a lot of good comments in here. And again, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram. Are you on Twitter as well, I may ask? Are you on Twitter as well?
I am on Twitter as well, yes.
Oh, so we have to follow. We'll get that in closing thoughts. I always like to ask people what their social medias are. So we'll save that for that. And Harry also says, you've got the respect, brother. Be great to go head to head with you again. So Harry, obviously, we kind of have an idea who Harry is, but we don't want to tip our hands because we don't like to do that here. Other places might, but fill in the blanks and you can figure that one out. And maybe we'll see that here down the line. But I want to ask you here before we get to closing thoughts here tonight. It's been a tremendous honor here to be with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy here, sharing his journey, his story, all things related to nonstop action wrestling. And as a reminder, we'll be back here Tuesday night. Nonstop action wrestling coverage continues with the wild card Tommy Dillon and Joshua Snow, the man behind nonstop action wrestling. That starts at 7 p.m. British Standard Time. But I want to ask you here, and this is your final parting shots for management before we hear from Mr. Snow and maybe get a sense to unpack who's going to be in this tournament. Because we're going to do that and ask him and see what he unveils for us. But what do you want to say directly to management to make your final case to be potentially a participant in the Fire and Gold upcoming event, August 13th, 8-man person tournament to crown that first ever world champion?
All I've got to say is think of another one more person that has the amount of passion, vision, and drive for non-stop action wrestling. I know there's 7 other places, but there ain't 7 other people to fill this tournament that have the amount of passion and drive I have for not only this business, but certainly for this company. Name me 7 other people and you ain't getting that. You can probably maybe mention 1. Absolutely not 2, and certainly not 7 more. That's all I've got to say, really. So if I'm not in this tournament, if I'm not one of, and certainly if my brethren of the society are at least 2 or 3 people within that tournament, then I don't know what people are drinking or smoking within management, but you are off your doolally if you do not pick at least one member of the society. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. It could be Remus. It could be Robert Zacaro. But the society is one, and that is a whole, as I mentioned. So if there's one on top, if one is winning, we are all winning. But just know this. You cannot and you will not think of 7 other people to fill that bracket that has the most passion, the most drive for non-stop action wrestling. You cannot and you will not. I should be in that tournament. I should be one of 8. And if I'm not, then that's your too bad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the case has been made. The battle lines have been drawn. Even if it's not the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, could be Remus Kane, could be Robert Zacaro, could even be all 3, 2 of the 3. Who knows? But the society could very well possibly be in the mix where they could be running things and running all the gold here. There's that possibility. They could be on the way to being the next bloodline. They could be on their way. They have a bigger path, a higher power. The Lawman Kyle Kennedy has definitely made that case here tonight in Sportswire Radio that he's the guy that very well could be one of the future participants and very well the first ever nonstop action wrestling world champion. For you, my friend, it has been a tremendous honor to have you, and I can't thank you enough for this opportunity with sharing your story, your journey. I know I'm going to have you on here very soon, maybe even a part of the Society versus the Guardians live. Who knows? We'll see what management thinks. We'll ask him that Tuesday night, and we'll see what the story is going to be. But I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts, anything you want to plug, share, anything else you want to get off your chest. And I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and I turn it over to you, my friend. The floor is yours. Fire away.
I got to put that I got out there to you. Thank you for this opportunity. It's a big deal for someone, you could definitely put me in the rookie category because, I'm getting quite a big buzz already from this. So, for this opportunity, I'm incredibly grateful. But, I just love wrestling. I love being in that ring, so anywhere that wishes to give me the opportunity to step in that ring, GTM, UKW, Black Hat, Pursue Pro Wrestling, Steel City, Progress, Future Shock. It don't matter as long as I'm in the middle of that ring where I'm home. Give me the opportunity and I will blow you away and put butts in seats. Thank you, Mr. Bryce.
Ladies and gentlemen, he definitely sounds like a Lawman. He definitely sounds like somebody that real soon is going to be somebody that could very well be holding gold. You can follow him on Twitter because we have his Twitter handle pulled up, Lawman Kennedy. Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram. Like his page on Facebook, Kyle Kennedy. NSAW Official on Instagram. Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook. Thank you also to everybody that has shared our shows here. Also with Bentley, who could very well be in this tournament. Could be Bentley and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy for all we know. That would be another big match.
That.
And Bentley very well could be the world champion in BTW. So there could be somebody here holding gold and being in this tournament. So there's endless possibilities here. We spoke about Goliath and certainly the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, Gung Ho Muttley and Academy of Agony, Supersonic Sammy Blue and the Guardians. There is a lot going on here in Nonstop Action Wrestling. We cannot wait to cover it once again here starting Tuesday night with the wild card Tommy Dillon at 7. And then right afterwards, Joshua Snow. Really, really honored with this. For you, my friend, congratulations on all of your success. We'll see if you're on your way to being the next Goldberg or Ryback at 4-0. We'll certainly see. We'll see if you're going to be that next guy. But I look forward to seeing you in the ring here in the near and distant future. I look forward to seeing what happens on Tuesday. If you're one of these 8 participants and much, much more. And congratulations on all the success. And I'm looking forward to having you on here real soon, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
As we're here on the Sports Report, the number one level sports show with pro wrestling star here, an undefeated member of the society. That's the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. In an ode to Mr. Kennedy when he used to do it, when all those times in WWE after SmackDown, he would do it after his match or before his match. So we want to do that for him here. So I'm sure he's got that. He'll get more of that here when he's on here live again on Sportswire Radio. But I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you're on sportnarium.com/player, you'll get an all new piece of business show where they'll talk all things related to NXT and much, much more. If you're on all of other platforms, we'll be on here tomorrow night. And I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm also going to be a part of a stream separately from Sportswire Radio, but I'll announce that tomorrow morning to get the final details. But we were just with the Lawman Kyle Kennedy of Nonstop Action Wrestling. And to open up here tonight, we were with the Vigilante of Pro Wrestling, the number one contender to the BTW Championship, Bentley, who will also be in action tomorrow night against Rarebit for that championship, and the night after in a no DQ grudge match against Sean Only. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce.